Hey everyone, Eric Watson here, freelance writer, player of games, writer, forger, recorder videos, and tabletop role-playing aficionado. Welcome to the Thursday edition of my bi-weekly behind-the-scenes DMLE live stream, Crafting the Deep, in which I build, write, and prepare for our next session of Call from the Deep. If you are playing characters Gottwald, Moxabra, or Twirl, this video is not meant for you. It will be full of spoilers, but the rest of you are welcome, of course. We stream our D&D sessions live on YouTube every Friday. You can join our official Discord server with invite link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out patreon.com/roguewatson. And for our campaign, we use Roll20.net. And for streaming, I use OBS Studio. And a huge happy birthday to my wonderful wife, aka Sabra, the Lizard Wizard, today. I put a blast out on Discord, so be sure to wish her happy birthday. And we are talking about Call from the Deep. And I think I've covered a lot of this upcoming battle, which is going to take up, what should take up our entire session tomorrow, which is the players finally arriving at the docks and fighting a bunch of Swagan, hopefully saving some people, perhaps battling some sea spawn, although we could also montage this side of the battle, and I think I'm in danger of over-preparing. I've been thinking about this one a lot, and, you know, there's a lot of extra things I could do, but I want to keep it flowing. I want to keep things fun. We do have that D4 table of terrible events happening that I think the players will enjoy, and hopefully won't be a big slog. And we're just going to have to see what happens, really, in terms of what the pacing is like and when I want to trigger the ending. But because the important thing is they do not have to kill everybody here. This is not meant to be a big slog, and instead it's meant to be this big action-packed moment. And then at some point, you know, Kalinar will come leaping down with some paladins and be able to help kind of turn the tide, while still making the players feel like they're doing heroic stuff too, obviously. I don't want to steal that away from them, but I think because I'm using a former player character instead of just a random NPC, I think I can kind of get away with doing that more than if it was just some NPC doing that kind of thing. So, but I do have, you know, this whole creature here that, which by the way, who was it, Demnix, I think, that pointed out, like, hey, they might just try to attack this creature as a giant boss. That's true. I would let them, but the creature, literally, I've built it similar stats to a fucking ship. Like, it's going to have probably like 20 armor class and a damage threshold. So pretty much only somebody like Mac, I think, can deal more than 15 single non-spell damage to the thing. And then of course we can give it infinity hit points. We can maybe show them doing some damage, but the point, they'll basically, I'll have to tell them, like, it feels superficial, the damage you're doing. And depending on, I don't know if I want to motivate them to, like, oh, but maybe you can go inside. Like, I don't want to tell them that, but maybe somebody will have the idea of going in there because I've got this whole thing prepped. But on the other hand, we also have enough stuff going on the harbor itself. So technically, if they just want to ignore this thing and just have it be rampaging and deal with, you know, one of those, it's a 25% chance this creature can attack a player character. Basically, it's one of its giant tentacle attacks. Then they can. There's plenty of other things for them to do, so I don't necessarily need to push that onto them, I don't think. By the way, very excited. We officially signed up for fiber optic internet. I have been teasing this for what feels like at least over a month, I think, since when did they have that big, when they were doing construction? Like November, December, when we were having all kinds of connection internet problems really badly. In the midst of just like normal problems. So they are installing it tomorrow, which actually has me nervous now because tomorrow's our fucking live day. So hopefully things get completely squared up and set up, and then we'll be smooth sailing. I've got myself hyped up for fiber because that's what we had at our old house. We had zero connection issues whatsoever, and I'm looking forward to getting that set up ASAP. So yeah, that'll be nice. Nice little tease for that. So I guess one thing we could talk about is thinking ahead, really. They're not going to get ahead of this on Friday, but I would like for us to complete this section, which is the other pacing thing. It may just be that things go on a while and, you know, we need a way to end it. I don't have like a boss at the sea spawn. Instead, like this creature, and really the deep scion within this creature is the boss. I do have a boss of the Sawagan, though, so that will feel like hopefully a nice, you know, big battle and fight in there as well. Maybe I'll have a few more. I don't know. I feel like I should always just throw more tokens on here. Like people have gotten killed defending. There were like people in the docks. There we go. Maybe this person's running away. I don't know. We'll describe it. It'll be crazy, right? This is something I just don't have a lot of experience doing, which is mass scale events that are not in the background. This one is kind of in the background, but also the players are now in the middle of it. The closest thing which I keep citing is the Shardle and Dragon event in Rime, which was also a similar case of like, hey, here's a event you have to deal with. Here's an event you have to deal with. Here's an event you have to deal with. It ends up feeling kind of linear, but hopefully it, I hide that fact by just having a bunch of cool shit happening. Which the big trigger will be, again, the counter coming down and kind of helping stem off the tide, or maybe it's the trigger will be the players taking out the Swagan or taking out this big creature and they feel like they've made a big push, and then you can have the other guys show up and be like, all right, you got a handle on this, we'll take care of these others. I do want to remind the players that like this isn't the only place being attacked. Like, the harbors are all under attack, so maybe they'll see like another, section where somebody like Count has to come in and beat up the other giant creature or something, and then that can help turn the tide. But it will end this fight without necessarily having to kill and slaughter every single thing here. Instead, the players will be told like, all right, now you've done the majority of the work. We're not going to make you clean up the action and stuff, but what we're going to do now is move on to this next event, essentially, which is so now we have to actually look at the attack on Neverwinter section, because we're going to finally get to that point. So we've already spent what will be 3 sessions doing this big attack on the city before we actually get to the scripted attack on Neverwinter, which we can remind ourselves how that works, but I will probably, again, modify it as I need. A ghost ship crewed by 40 skeletons and captained by Bartholomew Blackdagger, who is a revenant, which revenants are pretty strong. And his mates, a wight and a sword wraith warrior. That's a lot of powerful undead stat blocks. Their aim is to sail up the Neverwinter River to the House of Knowledge, storm the lower vaults, and destroy Zaxaro, the aboleth who layers down there. The ghost ship can only be embarked upon by undead. All other creatures and objects pass through it. The ship is bound to water at all times. Because of this, the ship can sail straight through the 3 bridges of Neverwinter and right up to the House of Knowledge before the undead crew disembarks, which is important. I had forgotten about that at one point, because I was worried the players would chase them with their ship. They can't do that. There are giant bridges here. You cannot have giant ships sailing up this river. This is as far as they can go. So instead, you've got a ghost ship, which I don't have. I wonder if I could find a token for a ghost ship and put that on the map. It might be kind of cool. To the marketplace, which I'll have to look at the marketplace also for a map for the zombie thing. A bone ship is kind of close to a ghost ship. Wonder if I should use something that's more just evil looking. Something that's tattered would be better. Oh, ghost ship. Perfect. Thank you, Gabriel. There's literally a ghost ship one. That is fucking fantastic. Amazing. Now, we don't need this for an encounter, because I just mentioned the fact that people can't go on board this ship, and goodness knows we've done enough ships anyway. So actually, the only piece of art we need is a tiny token, which hopefully there is a tiny token somewhere. Like this looks like a token. I actually don't show. That actually looks like it's got more detail on it. Does this have a well, anyway, let's look at it and roll. So quick encounters, ghost ships. Look at it there. Quick encounters. Quick maps. Quick encounters. G for ghost ship. Show me the ghost ships. Even the flotsam is ghostly. That's kind of weird. So how can I tell if you are a token? You're probably not going to have much detail. They have like half ship. There we go. Token. Boom. Fucking beautiful. Okay. Let's make you... I don't know. The ratio. No. I screwed you up. I'm so sorry. Ship. How did it get so nasty looking? There we go. All right. All that detail, you can't really tell it's a ghost ship, but there you go. That's very good enough. All right, so then they'll be able to see it on the map. So you can see the whole north side is being attacked. But they'll be able to rally just because the players will be able to rally here. And I'll see that ship passing through the area. Now, importantly, unless the characters have intervened, I don't know how they're supposed to intervene. The necromantic aura of the ship animates 20 zombies from Neverdeath the Graveyard who shamble through the streets, threatening the citizens of Neverwinter. Characters must decide whether to tackle this threat or chase the ghostly galleon to the House of Knowledge. I don't think I would make them choose. I think it would just help slow. If anything, it would help slow the players down during the chase. Or maybe you create a chase sequence. But this is always going to be a case of hopefully players want to save people. Are you heroes? Because I believe the way it's set up is that the enemy should be like halfway through the dungeon. Like the ghost pirate should be disembarked into the House of Knowledge by the time the players arrive, which is why I think that zombie fight will help slow them down. They will prevent the pirates killing Zars, destroy them. The characters may not wish to prevent the death of Zara, but are likely to want to destroy the crew. I do want to do this zombie fight. I don't know if fighting 20 zombies is going to be enjoyable for anybody. That's a lot. And zombies have the undead fortitude. So I do have concerns about that just being a pain in the ass. Yeah, they're very boring. Low AC, low hit points, really low damage. So they're just not very fun to fight, especially at this level. So, we might want to... It would allow, like, your spellcasters to show off, but at this point, our spellcaster, our wizard is going to be probably completely out of spell slots by now. Maybe let them have some scrolls or something, but it's going to be brutal. Have a lot of bodies around the giant Gribby to further show its danger. What about the Jetsam? Well, Jetsam is, it could be Jetsam. The difference is Jetsam has been jettisoned from a ship on purpose, whereas Flotsam has been, I don't know, accidentally or, thrown overboard or part of a wreck or something. The more you know. Bum, bum, bum. We actually get to the House of Knowledge. When the pirates arrive at Neverwinter, they head straight up the river to the House of Knowledge and raid the lower vaults. The attack consists of 40 skeletons. They literally have the entire crew disembark. Also don't plan on having 40 skeletons. That's also kind of insane. By Captain Bartholomew Blackdack. Unless you literally do it like the Might and Magic thing, where it's like, here's a skeleton and it's worth 40 skeletons. Let's see, does it talk about them already being there? If Blackdack and his crew have arrived, the scene in the vaults is entirely different. Sound of screams fill the corridors. The undead crew chase down the acolytes. Small fires burn the floors. They're falling on smell of burning. Yeah, so this is what I want to do. I want to create the players arriving in the middle of the undead actually assaulting the House of Knowledge. And unfortunately, I think we've been over this, but I think it doesn't actually break down like room to room, like how much undead is where. I'm shocked that it literally says 40 skeletons are here. Obviously, you can split that up a little bit. You can leave some on the ship. You can have some standing guard outside. Skeletons are at least a little more interesting to fight than straight up zombies. Hey, Morgan. So right now, Lumpy, I'm debating on whether I want to unleash 20 zombies on the player, just because it sounds like a boring fight. I guess their goal is, two skeletons standing guard outside. So it leaves 38 skeletons. Pirates arrive, sword with warriors here, ushering 3 skeletons, area V3. So it accounts for some of them. 6 pirate skeletons are there. That's only like 10 of the skeletons, guys. Yeah, skeletons are at least a little more interesting. I do have a map for that place, but first, I do want to run this zombie thing. I think I want to run it It's kind of a cool extra thing. We can do an extra city map that the players have to deal with, but more importantly, it would slow the players down because they could try to jump in their ship and go around into the harbor, but they would immediately be stopped by the wall, and somebody could even tell them like ships can't make it in there. Anyway, it would probably be too shallow for most ships. I don't know, the ghost ship just has it's kind of incorporeal, so it doesn't really follow the rules, I guess. For most ocean vessels, wouldn't be able to go up the river, but you can't physically do it because these are not drawbridges, I don't believe. But you can unleash one of these like by the street, and it says Never Death Cemetery. It awakens them, but that's way the fuck down here. I don't know, I need to move my overlays covering it. That cemetery, by the way, is way the hell down here. Now, granted, I think this is to scale, but yeah, so it's not like super crazy, but I don't know. I have misgivings about just having them animate and rush out of the cemetery and then having to pull the players all the way down here into a city street. Maybe it would be more interesting to have like bodies come out of the river or something. That would be pretty unsanitary though if there are a bunch of bodies just in the river. Or you could raise up a more interesting undead, maybe ghosts, specters or something. So yeah, if we have any idea, it just seems 20 zombies just seems like the most boring thing to do. I mean, it creates a dynamic thing. Like normally, like yeah, that's a cool, I don't know, situation, like a terrifying, Walking Dead situation. A bunch of zombies terrorizing in a city suddenly, and everybody's dealing with the harbor. Nobody expected an attack down here, so there's like no probably militia or guards. It's everybody's at the harbor, so that would be pretty big. But mechanically, I'm worried that a fight with a lot of zombies, and obviously I can scale it down. I can be like, well, there's 8 zombies or something in a close quarter street fight thing. So I don't. Yeah, what do you all think about that situation? I like it because it slows the players down. They see the ship going, and they can't just chase the ship on foot, because that will then slow them down, and that allows me to get the ghost ship, to the House of Knowledge, and then it makes sense why suddenly the ghost ship crew is like halfway through getting to the Aboleth. Maybe even they've reached the Aboleth, and then I can have a cool climactic battle with Black Dagger actually there, ready to attack the Aboleth, and the Aboleth is like, fucking help me. And then the players can be like, wait, what? We're here to save an Aboleth? That's crazy. Is that how it's scripted in here? I don't know where Black Dagger actually is. Oh yeah, they are, yeah. Here in V3. Yep. Engaged in a fight with Xigzaro. He's actually not with his 2 other mates. So you can separate all those creatures, which I would definitely do, which that would be a cool fight too, to have the players go into the dungeon and have the dungeon be completely active. Like this is not an exploratory dungeon at all, although maybe you can go off in one side room or something, but like it's a battle going on in every room between like the defenders, who are apparently Kuatoas and generic priests, it looks like, against the undead crew, and that would be pretty fun. Oh, there we go. Join the comment. 2 rounds as do 10 skeletons. Okay, so maybe it does mention more skeletons appearing. And I think that would be a really fun, different take on a dungeon crawl. Is like you're in a dungeon crawl, but like the dungeon is currently being attacked by another force, and you would be tentatively allied with the defenders, but maybe not directly, like they wouldn't directly necessarily, but depending on how the socialization goes. So I do think that's going to be pretty fun. But I think having an event that slows the players down is going to be good. Maybe we don't even need a battle. Maybe it's just like some necromantic aura, like hands come up and grab people or something. I don't know, because we've got so much battling going on. Don't want to slow them down with another fight. I fully expect, I haven't prepared it yet. I expect the whole House of Knowledge thing to take us 2 sessions. So, but that would have to include any battle out here. Yeah, Tim doing a cleric undead bomb. I have to, gosh, does anybody remember where all these characters were? Well, Tim Tim was in War for the Lost Plane, right? So he was like, he made it to level 20. So that would probably be overkill. I'm trying to think of like the perfect level and where we left everybody. Because the characters that went for the War of the Lost Plane are on like a whole different playing field. They all made it to level 20 and they're goodness knows what they're doing. But characters who finished Rime all had very clear epilogues where like none of them even stayed in Rime, from what I remember. So we could have characters from Rime show up, characters from Tomb, kind of the same thing, and then characters from Prince of the Apocalypse, I believe, all and Storm King's Thunder. We've got a huge cinematic universe of characters to pull from that I haven't really been able to use because I've been stuck in all these other exotic locations that would be extremely contrived to have those characters be there for whatever reason. Although I probably should have included at least one or two because that's fun and that's kind of the whole point of a cinematic universe is to have fun doing that. So I guess we could look at street maps because it's not really going to be a chase scene once they see the ship. In fact, I may trigger the ship first. Let's see this ghostly pirate ship arise out of the water, maybe? What does it actually describe as? Time the strange light seems to solidify into an enormous spectral galleon which emerges from the mists. Okay. So it just kind of comes from the mist. But that's when it's only a single attack and you can really play up the horror. This is in the middle of a giant war. Because the thing is, this ship, technically this crew is coming from the Skyhold up here. So, but I don't want to give that away too soon. Maybe I could. It's not necessarily, maybe that's, I don't know. Maybe I could have it appearing from the sky. That'd be kind of weird. But I think just spectrally having it appear as if it was always sailing, but just materializing suddenly in the harbor and just cutting through, and they can see like archers and stuff firing at it and arrows going through it, and it's sailing up the river, and the players, I might cheat a little bit and say you can see it even going through the bridge. And that's just to save us time and say like you can't really hop on your ship to go chase it, but you can rush through on foot to chase it down. And then maybe I could, at some point while they're running, you could even call for a con save if I wanted to really be tricky about it and make everybody make a save for exhaustion, because at that point it would literally be exhausting to go through all the things they've done. And then hit them with the, like, once they see it up ahead, then I unleash the necromantic aura thing. A man with flesh as pale as death, dressed in a tricorn hat and wielding a midnight black blade. Does he actually have a sexy sword? He's just a... Yeah, he's a revenant. I could give him a cool item. Just revenant. Revenants are pretty strong. Yeah, in fact, revenant, I need to change his stat block, don't I? Because revenants only have a fist. They don't even have a weapon. So I might look at giving him some kind of... Although the last pirate they just fought also had a unique magic weapon. It is possible I give him something that the players don't get their hands on. And he would only have his vengeful stuff on the Aboleth. So you could argue, like, if this whole thing was a fight to just get these undead to hunt the Aboleth, like, why do we need it? Because they're only undead can board the ship. But I guess that's not... It doesn't say they can't be physically attacked. The ship... what are the rules for the ship? Just non-undead can't board the ship. Well, no, it says all the creatures and objects pass through it. But that's not true of the... So maybe just while they're on the ship, they're actually immune. They're completely incorporeal. But once they leave the ship, they're just normal undead and can be attacked. And the reason this whole fight was on was to draw all defenders to the harbor, and then these guys go in and assassinate. So that starts to make more sense. Minion rules in the zombie skeletons. Give them 1 HP so players get the excitement of killing a ton of undead. That's interesting. That's actually from 4th edition, isn't it? I've never done that before. Trail an evil fog that raises the dead as it passes over. Oh, alternative version of Revenants can have weapons. I need to look at that. Yeah, I think that's kind of what it means by a necromantic aura, I guess, right? just animating. Oh, but I see the change you're making is that it just makes undead, yeah, as it passes over. I guess the weird thing is like the dead wouldn't just be randomly everywhere; they'd all be in the graveyard. So I'm trying to come up with a justification for. It just feels like you're losing the pacing if the ship is trailing, the players are following, and all of a sudden you have to like describe their like screams coming from the cemetery, and they're like, all right, well, what's going on there? Like, it just, there's a disconnect there with the amount of distance between the graveyard and the river, which is unfortunate. So I'm trying to fix that by justifying like, how are they raising dead, unless we're using ghosts instead of zombies, or it's just magic bullshit and I don't have to explain it, and just it's summoning. It's somehow summoning the dead as it passes over. Which, maybe that's a thing? I don't know. But I could use something instead of zombie. Especially, they're going to be dealing with a lot of corporeal undead as they fight their way to the House of Knowledge. A lot of skeletons, which we have not fought a lot of dead, so I'm okay with doing a big undead thing here. A Sword Wraith Warrior, a white. All of those are corporeal. It's a great word, by the way. And obviously the Revenant. So maybe... Oh, I see. Like the bodies that were just created in the harbor. Yeah, but again, there's a disconnect because all the bodies would be out here. So I'm trying to figure out why there would be bodies like in... I need them to be like kind of in the middle by the river, basically. Maybe I create some kind of like river spirits or something. You could use like water weird, but have them do necrotic damage. Maybe it's like kind of like poisons the water as it goes, and then those things spill out from the water and attack. Yeah, I guess we did talk about that. The river is full of bodies. That's so unsanitary. But it could be. We could just have corpses pull themselves out of the river. I don't. You probably don't need to justify it. Like, whatever. It's a big city. That river's probably full of corpses. What I need to... The reason this matters is because for the battle map purposes, right? I have to put the map on there, and then I have to figure out, what undead to stock there and everything else. So am I using just a street map, or am I using a bridge map? Maybe they're on the bridge or something weird, or is it they're just running along the street next to the river? I assume that's what they're going to be doing. The one thing we know they can't do is take their ship up the river. Again, we're ixnaying that because that's specifically the ghost ship can do that because it's a fucking ghost ship. The player ship cannot do that. And maybe I can remind them that their ship got pretty damaged and they don't want to be taken out at this point anyway. So I imagine they'll be running through the streets, and then we can have that aura going on and then just summoning things out of the streets, and then they'll have to deal with that versus chasing the ship, I would hope. And the hopes for that is that I still tease the fact there's a ship going in while then slowing the players down into a combat thing. And then by the time they finish combat, the ship is gone. Now, granted, combat only takes like minutes, but whatever. Or you turn it into like a skill challenge thing. I keep hemming and hawing about throwing more combat at them. They're probably gonna think it's combat because there's a bunch of undead. But we could go really radical with this. Maybe not even use a map. I should probably have a map just in case. I mean, the weird thing about the skill challenge is if there's enemies involved, and they're like, well, I'm going to use my action to attack an enemy. Which, I mean, that could count. And then if you get a successful attack, then, you can take out a zombie that way. Is that too crazy? That would hopefully speed things along, because at that point, we could still have the players roll initiative and just say, what do you do on your turn? But maybe the zombies don't even get to go. right? Like they're just terrorizing people, and it's just like we're montaging them attacking people, and the players get to slow down and try to save those people. I don't, I just don't think that would necessarily go well with my group because we're so used to the visualization of having the map and generally enjoying combat and all that stuff. So, if you can't tell, I'm very much just spitballing ideas here because I'm still in early pre-production phase of next week's session. But I don't think that would probably go down as well. If there are enemies on the board, I don't know how you do a skill challenge effectively, with my group at least, because I think they would just be like, well, we're going to just fight these guys off. Plus, we even had that scene in last week's session where they were going to save, they did save people from the shark attack, and during and then after in the chat, Chris even mentioned, he said, hey, by the way, you know, we started thinking of ways to save people, but then we quickly realized, well, the best thing to do is just to kill the sharks. Like, it's the most effective thing to do, which is going to be the same situation here. Like, oh, I want them to save people, and they kind of do too, but like, well, the best thing to do is just to kill the zombies. Like, that's the best use of our action because we're such a combat-focused game, really. But that's like, all their tool sets are for combat and destroying enemies. So if I throw enemies at them, they're going to want to kill those enemies. Now, the only way to not do that is if it was just some kind of ghostly bullshit where they can't attack it and they're just trying to like rescue people or something. But they've also had a lot of opportunities to rescue people before, so maybe we don't even worry about attacking other people. We just have ghosts rise up out of the ghosts and shit, rise up out of the water and attack the players to slow them down. They might find that compelling. One thing they may do that I haven't thought of though is they may take a rowboat up the river. I just realized, can they do that? Surely these stone bridges, you can go under them, right? I would imagine there would need to be precedents for traveling up and down the river on a vessel. So could you take like a small rowboat and go up the river? In which case, if they do that, I would have to rethink that encounter because then they're no longer on land. So I may have to make 2 maps. Oh my goodness. See, as the ship comes out of the harbor, they see it pulling the souls out of the dead, defenders and attackers, and use it as a fuel to summon ghosts. That's pretty cool. That's actually a really cool idea. Yeah, especially as they're leaving the harbor, they can gather these souls, and you see it like entering through the ship, and then at some point while the players are chasing the ship, they see these souls like exit into whatever. Either they become bodies that rise up out of the water, or they just become angry spirits that attack the players when they're chasing them. Like Venice with undead. Yep. Hey, Jason. They have to do skill checks to row upriver. Yeah, I guess. What's the penalty for failing? You just lose ground. Like, I guess you could always do like exhaustion or losing hit dice or things like you're exerting yourself or getting tired, but I don't know. I do like the souls idea. I'm kind of leaning more towards replacing the 20 zombies with ghost type creature, something other than a zombie. Zombies just seem not very interesting in this case, especially at the like level they are and the amount of fighting we've done. Like, they're kind of boring. And unfortunately, they're built in the worst possible way in 5e, where like they don't do a lot of damage, they don't do much of anything except to stick around, which is like the opposite of what you want your cool, fun enemies to do, right? You want your enemies to do like cool shit and then get killed relatively quickly, but like be impactful and do terrible things to the players. This one's the opposite. It's gonna feel like it's gonna do hardly anything, and they've got that undead fortitude, so they stick around a lot longer than you want them to, and it just becomes a slog. So I'm just very much talking myself out of using the straight up zombies. Can we search by corporeal undead? Probably not. That's not really a what is the trait? Well, incorporeal movement maybe would be a trait. Sorry, not source. I want type. Oh shit. Undead Incorporeal is a type? Really? All 20, did you actually do something I wanted you to do before I even saw that you did it? Amazing. Let's see what it actually comes up with, though. I spoke too soon. It doesn't work. Is everything else clear? Let's see. Clear all. Type. That would be the most just fucking undead incorporeal. Because hey, I don't think that's a proper type. No matching results. Okay, the joke's on me. Damn it. I got so excited. I didn't think there would be a proper type for that. Alright, how about just undead? And then we'll have to unfortunately I can't choose trait is what I have to choose. Can I? Oh, I can do a checklist of challenge ratings. That's actually helpful. I was gonna say, can I do multiple? Is there no CR1 undead? Why do I not have a 1 up? Oh, 1's up there. Never mind. I see the fractions are down here. Probably nothing higher than a CR2, I would imagine, right? We want like hordes of little things. So let's go with that. Let's see if this works. This is CR2 and below undead in general, which is going to be a lot. A zombie aboleth. So there's no way for us to filter by their corporealness. How many times can I say that? Take a drink. We could also use zombie versions of different creatures. That might be interesting. Rather than just zombie people. Is there like zombie fish we could use? Alright, let's see. Off the top of your heads, what are some cool undead creatures that could be summoned from a ghost ship to slow people down? And I am tempted to even go with something like a reskinned water weird. I'm already almost halfway through the alphabet. Haven't anything interesting yet. Mort. From Planescape. God, I could go off on a whole rant about how I was so excited that Mort appears at the start of that Planescape adventure, and then he's just a stupid cameo, and he's like, nope, can't join you. I'm waiting for the real adventure to begin. Like, oh, what a missed opportunity. Obviously, the Spectre / Poltergeist is kind of your standard ghost, I think. That's not a literal ghost, but low hit points. Ooh, sunlight sensitivity would kind of fuck them up, though, because it is daylight. Pretty big attack, forceful slam. Yeah, probably not going to use somebody with sunlight sensitivity, though. That's a good point. Putrid Hot, Swampy Guy, Vomit Leeches. I used that one in Empire of the Ghouls one time, I believe. Pretty strong, though, man. You gotta... Cobalt Press jacks up its creatures like twice the hit points. You gotta watch out for that shit. Shadows are tricky. Zombie parrots. Definitely have sunlight weakness. Strength drain is a pain in the butt, but pretty physically weak. What else? How are we already in S's? There's gotta be more undead than this. Well, I mean, undead of 2 or less. Is there really not like more ghost type creatures that are weaker? Other than like Spectre and Shadow? Shark Jaw Skeleton. I've always wanted an excuse to use this creature. It looks cool. It's literally a skeleton made out of like shark jaws. See, now that would be a fun creature to see, but they're a little... God, 40... Again, Tome of Beasts. 45 hit points for a CR1 creature is nuts. And multi-attack. I think I'd reduce the hit points on those things and use more of them. Let's drag it over and look at it, though. It's cool looking. Firegeist. I haven't heard of that one. Look at this thing. It's fucking glorious. I gotta find an excuse to use this somewhere in our nautical campaign. It's just a bunch of shark jaws animated as a skeleton. Like, how... This is like just a 12-year-old... I'm not discounting, like, in a good way. Like, some kid, like, designed this. And they're like, yeah, that's cool. Bite and claw attack, 45 points. Kind of amazing. Not ghostly, though, and technically wouldn't be found in a river, but there would be plenty of shark things to use in the harbor. But that goes against our incorporealness. Spectre is kind of the standard one, but sunlight sensitivity. Life drain, pretty strong, just the one attack. Does a lot of damage if it does. Has that hit point reduction maximum, which could be very nasty going into the final fight there. I could keep them with sunlight sensitivity and just have it be the rolling disadvantage. Doesn't seem too fun to swarm of zombie limbs. It's from Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. Now, see, that's more interesting than a zombie, at least. It's got very similar stats. AC of 10, 22 hit points. It's got the swarm thing then, so it's got the damage resistance and immunities. But also has multi-attack, makes one undead mass attack and one grasping limbs attack. Which is what? Bludgeoning damage, 1d6 plus 2. And grasping limbs, a creature in the space, hit 2d6 necrotic damage. The creature must gain a DC 12 strength to be restrained. But it takes damage on a failed save it tries to escape. Okay. So instead of summoning zombies, it could summon a bunch of hands and limbs and shit that just come crawling out of the river, as if just there's pieces of people in the river, I guess. That's kind of creepy, but at least that's more interesting than fighting a zombie. And you could still do a bunch of those limbs. So that's an idea. I'll move that one in here to remind me that's an idea. Does not, unfortunately, have its own token art. I think... Was it the Gorling thing that had... Similar idea, was a bunch of undead hands. Trying to look at the token, but... Yeah, so I could use that token art. Anything else, I have to change the token art out. But that's kind of cool. Alright, I'll look at the fire guys in a second, I promise. I'm getting to the end of this list. Well, the wisps are probably not gonna work. Oh, the lightning damage is kind of unique. They also have the scary thing where they can straight up kill you if you reach 0 hit points around them. AC 19, that can't be right. Will-o-wisp? Jesus Christ. That's a pain in the butt. Ephemeral, can't wear or carry anything. That's, yeah, it's a little glowing light thing. Magic become invisible until attacks uses consume light until its concentration ends if it's concentrating on a spell. So it makes a bunch of wisps. So that's technically an option. It just doesn't feel... It feels more like spooky, and this is more action-packed. So I don't know if that would be a good time to use them. What is this? A Wind Eater. It's incorporeal. This is the Creature Codex, which is also Kobold Press. It's got spell casting. That's a little more complicated than I was looking for. I guess. Excuse me, I said I had to sneeze, and then I did sneeze. Ugh. Silence aura on a creature. That's pretty spiffy. But that's like a 65 hit points at CR2. That's a boss creature. We want something we can use en masse. A zombie cavefish. It's probably a big creature, right? 37. You could do like a swarm of zombie quippers or something, but then they wouldn't really do anything out of the water. All right, so we just looked through all of the undead that are CR2 or below. Which did not give us a whole lot of options. I kind of like the swarm of zombie limbs as an option. What was the other one the shark jaw skeleton? Well, that was not... None of those are incorporeal, though, that I was looking at. All right, so now we'll look up... Which one did you talk about? The Firegeist? I don't know if I'm going to spell it right. Nope. Is this something that appears in an official source? Because I may not have it on here. What is Chains of Asmodeus? I'm not seeing it on here. Oh, there it is, right there, Firegeist. That's why I didn't see it, because it's an elemental. 87 hit points is fucking crazy. For CR2. Also, it's water susceptibility. So yeah, you'd have to reskin it where it's the opposite, where it does like cold touch or something. The problem is it's too strong. I want something I can use like a horde of, I think, rather than like one boss creature. I think it'd be more interesting to have a lot of things come out versus one thing. Also have to find a new token for it. Let's look at something like... Let's see if I can look at a monster. I love these monster discussions, by the way, because people get really into monster theory crafting. Can I search by movement? I cannot. Or yes, I can. Speed. Maybe. Enter speed. Like, can I put swim? Does that work? Or is it like, swim isn't a speed? Okay, so you can do swim. Okay, so let's filter. This is my first time really using this thing, by the way. It's, filter, swim, and a challenge rating up to 2. So any creature with a swim speed, CR2 or below. Because I'm thinking maybe I can just reflavor something. Like a water weird. Or create zombie alligators. Could work. Maybe a bunch of beasts come out of the water. Like, at least that's not a fish, so it still has stuff it can do out of the water. And I mean, the problem is it's still probably as boring as a zombie, but at least it's thematically a little more interesting. Is it like, oh shit, alligator zombies. It can't be anything that's like monster. But I could always zombify anything. I can zombify whatever you got. Because it would be undead. That's the thing. Everything would be undead. Bone crabs. Which are oddly not considered undead. I guess they're just they just use bones? Like hermit crabs? Reanimate the zoo. Yeah, a bunch of animals just come bursting out as zombies. Oh no. It's the zombie zebras. Cave bear has a swim speed? Come on now. What? It does. I guess bears can swim. It's just funny when I think about it. Yeah, I guess they can. I mean, at that point, shouldn't people have swim speeds? Like, come on, though. I guess not every person can swim. But every bear can swim? Truly, bears are our betters. What's a colonite? That's from Call from the Deep. The hell is that? This is the, like, weird coral swarm thing? I think. Can't use snakes. Wife will kill me. We already went through Tomb of Annihilation, damn it. Yeah, zombie crocodile is not a bad idea. That, and then like the necrotic aura like passing over the river. And then it really doesn't change depending on if they're on the streets or on the river. It's just zombie crocodiles. which I would just follow the rules to zombify them. But I do like the idea of them pulling the souls from the harbor and then using those souls to like summon up, you know, soul monsters. But the default would just be to use specters, which is just the typical like ghost stat block. I guess I was hoping there were more creature types like a specter, or I could just fucking make something myself. But I at least like to start with a base thing. That's why it might be more interesting to look at these creatures and just turn them into ghosts if I need to. It's a lot of just beastly monsters that have swim speeds. Giant everything. Gibbering Mouther has a swim speed. I did not know that. How the fuck does it swim? It has no arms. Does a Gibbering Mouther float? This is another TM Roundtable discussion. Creatures that surprisingly have swim speeds. Gibbering Mouther. I am shocked. Ooh, Glass Gator. That's a cool looking one. That's like a see-through creature. It's weird looking. I thought it was undead. It's not. Transparency. It creates a cloud of silt around itself. And it can constrict. So it's like this weird, like... I don't know. I picture it feeling very, like, rubbery. Pulses around like an amoeba. I guess. So it doesn't drown, though? It still weirds me out. Yeah, let's look at Glass Gator. These are all like I'm putting this in my maybe folder. Yeah, it looks cool. It almost looks like a it's something you'd find under a microscope. I like it. And maybe you could flavor it as undead. It's actually it says it's a beast, but I think you could easily flavor that as undead. Like they just somehow animate like it's almost like you're animating the organs versus the like organs and tissue versus bones. I can leap, and they can leap, lunge, and have transparency. And when they attack, they can grapple and restrain, and then they can also constrict you if you're already grappled. So that's pretty fun. But they do follow the Cobalt Press thing of having probably too many hit points than they need. But I could always adjust that. So that, yeah, that's a cool idea. Not entirely ghostly, but at least does the like, hey, it's animating, you know, creatures. I mean, hell, we could use both the shark jaw and the thing if you want to do like, here's the bones being animated, and here's the ghosts being animated. If I really wanted to throw some unique creatures at them. What else can we can be surprised it has a swim speed on it. So far, all these make sense. Kuatoas. We're in the L's, lizard folks. Plenty. Merfolk. Makes sense. Marrow, we're not using here. We've made it to the halfway point, I think. Naiad. Red. Only one ooze, which has a swim speed. A random Ichor ooze. A Plesiosaurus. That's probably not going to be found here. Even an undead version. Quippers. Sharks, Swagan, obviously, lots of Swagan options. Sea Hag, Seahorse, Sea Spawns. Oh, I thought there'd be more creatures with sea in their names. There's my Shark Jaw Skeleton. Scum Minion. I think those are the Aboleth creatures, right? It might be fun having some of those in the House of Knowledge as like helping defend. Specifically a Spore Servant Octopus from Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. Lightning Eels getting a chance to use. Swarm of Quippers. A Walrus. Okay, where's the water weird? That's the thing I've been looking for this whole time. Is the water weird stronger than CR2? Color me surprised. A Wumpus cat has a swim speed. No cat should have a swim speed. That's ridiculous. Although again, I feel like every creature can stay above water, but I guess some people can't. The problem is, people could probably swim if they just didn't panic. I think a lot of people just panic. But I say this as the privilege of somebody who grew up knowing how to swim from a young age. Let's go water weird. That's not how you spell weird. Oh, CR3. All right, fair enough. They are stronger than I thought. Just have the same constrict thing. Yeah, so the Glassgator might just be more interesting all the way then, because it does the same constrict thing. I just think that we should keep with the nautical theme, right? So we're keeping with the nautical theme, then we can use kind of these sea creatures are being animated. Problem is none of them are ghostly. Man, I don't know. I'll have to think about it some more, unfortunately. We have not nailed it down. Thankfully, we still have next week, obviously, to talk about it, but I'll have to nail it down next week. And next week, we have to not only get that done, but really start getting House of Knowledge fixed up. So I'll have to get the map nailed down for this encounter. Hopefully, I can find a map that works as both like a river and a street map, or maybe I'll have to have two maps. Because I did just today think about the fact they could take their rowboat up the river and then have to trigger an attack on their boat. In which case, then it would be fun to have one that's maybe got the bridge on there or something if I can find it. And then that would be really their only encounter like halfway through that would slow them down. And maybe designed specifically to, terrorize people, but mainly to slow the players down. And then start working on House of Knowledge because we got to get to that. But notice how I didn't hardly talk about the harbor attack because hopefully that has been set down and we can... I'm nervous as hell about it because I just don't know how it's going to go. I'm throwing a lot of complications to the players and just hoping we all have a good time and then I can find a suitable place to kind of trigger the end of that event and we will see how that works. But I think no matter what happens, we're going to get through the harbor attack in one session. So where next week, so my goal is to end it with the ghost pirate ship going and them being like, okay, now your next step is to chase that ship into Neverwinter without knowing even where it's going or what they're trying to do. And then that will then trigger what I imagine will be 2 sessions. Hopefully we can do it in 2 sessions, which includes this encounter halfway there and then the start of the House of Knowledge stuff. Exciting stuff. All right, I think that will do it for this Thursday edition of Crafting the Deep. If you enjoy the content, please do check out patreon.com/RogueWatson. Shouts to Platinum patrons Joe, Will, Thomas, Stan, Brandon, Genocider, Eclectic, Roleplayro, Christopher, Corey, Big Nut, John F., John L., Scott, Eric, Tyler, Nathan, Camp Crystal Lake Counselor, Andrew, Daryl, The Relevant, Captain 2079, Stephanie, Andy, Patrick, Jason, Ismail, Amat, Luffy, Spuds. And gold patrons RPG, Paper Crabs, Pretty Boy, Newman, The Lizard Lounge, Sam, Jerome, Nathan, Fast Like a Tortoise, Scott, Ruffus, Carolyn, Jerry, Thomas, and Glenn. Thank you all very much for your support. I will see you for D&D tomorrow night.